That's dope. That's dope.
What is up, everybody? It's Friday the 13th. I didn't even know that. We should probably cancel this because it's going to go terribly wrong. It's going to go terribly wrong. It's going to be awful, and everybody's going to hate us after this. But really, welcome, everyone. Bitcoin's still pushing, kind of surprisingly, honestly. For the last few days, I've been thinking we would see at least a bit more retracement, and it hasn't really happened. But what we're doing today, every Friday, bullish on Bitcoin. That's my position. I don't expect my guests to all be bullish on Bitcoin unless it's long-term, in which case I do. But I have a very special guest today. Last time we had Peter Brandt on, and he was like on the top of a mountain in Tibet or something on a 14-year-old iPad trying to talk to us. And obviously it didn't go well. But I have a very special guest today, a scalping master, Arsenal fan, the one and only legend, South Dakota Gooner. Oh, did I do that wrong? Oh,
how's it going, man?
I always get the wrong state.
They're the
Nebraskan
same.
Gooner.
Actually, it's really cold up there most of the time, like negatives. So it's not as bad down here. But anyway, thanks for having me. I didn't realize it was Friday the 13th either. So I'm going to stay locked up in this room for the rest of the day and not go anywhere.
And both of us, right before we got on, we were both talking about our somewhat sick kids. So it is a very Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
We share in common having very small children, which is always a challenge. So listen, as I said, this
Good
is
old daycare.
obviously, we generally talk Bitcoin and everything here, but at the end of the day, the goal is certainly to just have guests on, get their insight, figure out sort of how they approach the market and their wider view. And I love following you and watching your trades and stuff, because long ago I used to scalp and kind of take shorter time frame positions. And I realized even if I was profitable, I just mentally, it didn't work for me. It was just a little bit too much. I felt like I was always heavily consumed and staring at the charts. And especially when I had kids, actually, I found that I because I just couldn't do it anymore. Right. I didn't have the time, but it seems like you stay on top of it. So I'd love to hear more about just kind of your general approach and trading style so people can understand how you look at the market.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I agree with you. You do kind of have to be in tune when you're in a trade, especially if it's a scalp trade, because many times it's going to be momentum based. So you're going to look to catch a move before it happens or as it's happening. And then you're going to want to get out quickly because you're not really thinking ahead. You're just thinking of what's going to happen now. So you're looking at momentum, volume, support resistance levels, and you're like, okay, I can see the momentum starting to sway at this support. And I think, sellers are running dry and buyers are starting to step in. We should see a nice little pop. But you're on low time frames. You don't know what the whole big picture is. So it's like, you've got to be locked in, because you can completely take your focus off and come back an hour later to be stopped out on a quick momentum play, which is actually what happened to me on a short earlier, which would now be in profit if I wasn't on baby duty today. So,
well, then life gets in the way of scalps.
Yeah. But the thing I like about scalping, and when you first start scalping, it's hard because you're like, oh man, I can literally pull up the chart anywhere from any place, anytime, anywhere. And I can pull up a 5 or 15-minute chart or 1-minute chart and find some volatility and take a scalp. So it's really hard to, break free of needing to be at the charts all the time and needing to monitor them all the time, and finding a schedule. So now that I'm full-time trading, I pretty much turn off my exchanges after 3 or 4 p.m. I won't take any trades. I might glance at the chart a little bit to put out some content or whatever, but otherwise, I stay away from trading the evenings to try to get more family time. So it's funny you say that, though, because I think actually swing trading is a little bit more time consuming for me, because again, I'm more of a momentum trader. So I can take a 4-hour trade, be up 25% profit in 6 hours. And I come back, the evening or the next morning, and it's back to my entry price. So
right.
I like for my entry,
you're holding
my
it overnight
style,
anyways, right? You're not holding it overnight, so you're not thinking about it. So I think but you're saying you close it out and you're done. So then the mentality is, do I go back in? Yeah. Do I go back in? And for someone else, it might be, do I have to wake up at 3 a.m. to see if I'm stopped out because I'm a psychopath and can't go to bed unless I know the result of my trade. So how much trading do you do in an average day then? How many trades would you say you take?
That would depend on the market and the conditions. Like, man, from when the market was hot, November, December, January, February, I mean, I could take 10 trades in an hour, because we'd see $300 or $400 or $500 moves in no time, in minutes. So now I've really just taken my foot off the gas. I'm not trading as much. I just kind of have been chilling out. I've been flipping NFTs lately, actually. That's kind of been what I've been up to. But, if one thing's not working out so well, you just find another thing. But it's just been nice. Every so often, you just need a break. And it's just been nice this summer to have a break. Got my lake property that I'm trying to work on now. So that's very time consuming. And then obviously the kid. So I haven't been trading as much lately, unfortunately, because there's been some amazing price action out there. But yeah, so it just depends on the market. If it's sideways, I'm not going to be trading as often.
Yeah. Oh, we were sideways for a few months. It's funny. Everyone I talk to, even outside of traders, like CEOs, whatever, all the people I have in the podcast, everyone's like, well, we were kind of waiting for a bear market to actually get stuff done. Right. Because I think the bull market was so crazy that traders were obviously all over the place, but I think everyone was just putting out fires, right? Everything was scaling so fast and going so fast that it was just like customer service and dealing with this and
you had to be involved 24/7 or else you'd miss something, And so for the last month or so or 2 months, it's been nice to not feel like you're going to miss something. I still overall think that price is more in a range right now anyway. So I don't feel like I'm going to miss anything unless we reach the outer limits on either side of the range. So
I'm going to bring, I know you have your charts here. I'm going to bring them up because that's interesting because a lot of people, myself included, I sort of think we exited the main range to the upside when we kind of crossed 42, 43.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. I mean, we're definitely holding this well. As far as a weekly time frame, I'm just waiting for a close above this level here, really. You see this big, strong weekly breakdown, high volume. So it's probably the most important level on the chart right now. And we're just butted up right against it. So still not FOMOing into anything crazy yet. I still don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. But once we start to get up into this level here, this is where bulls and buyers can really, really, really take over. And this is where it's like, okay, I need to put my foot on the gas and start getting back, really into the charts. And then above, about here, about 52, 53K level is where it's just full on foot on the gas and we're just going to fly. So I'm not concerned yet about us just absolutely skyrocketing, taking off. We could still chop around in this range for a while. We still are in this overall weekly range as far as I'm concerned. But we're getting to the upper limits on my range to really start to take notice.
So effectively, you're defining the range by sort of where that dump commenced and getting back above that level.
That's the key level for me right now. Not only that, my indicator has given a sell approaching signal. So this is Top Goon X. It's given a sell approaching signal for the first time on the Binance chart. But actually, if I go to Bitstamp chart, you'll see that we had another one back here in 2018. So when you get this alert, and it's, of course, nothing's 100% foolproof, right? But when you get that alert, I'm going to take my Fibonacci from where the alert was given. And so it was given on this drop here, this impulse down. And I'm going to be looking at I have two levels, but the one in question right now is going to be the 1.337 Fib level. So if we close above this on a weekly chart, that's going to be like a trigger to say that we can go much higher. And then next week would be a confirmation. If we were to push through that, that would be a confirmation of most likely more parabolic action to occur. If we close below this on a weekly time frame, then there's still chance of chop, drop, ranging. We still have a chance to go back to 0.315, or sorry, the 0.236 Fib, which is at 31.5K. So we do have to be on the lookout for this possibility, depending on weekly close.
Right. So even looking for that drop, though, you effectively think the bottom's in, right? Because that would be a drop to higher than that would be a higher low in theory. Or do you think it would be like full bear market and still looking at much lower targets?
Well, I'm not going to unless we exit the range. I thought we were going to hit 27.4. That was kind of like my local bottom area before this push, and I got front ran a little bit. So if we can hold this area, like if we hold this area one more time very strong and we really start to push, bottom's very likely in. But this is going to be definitely a key area, Fibonacci level wise and just market structure wise. to hold, because if we don't hold that, you can see there's a large gap down here. 24K is obviously a very important level for us below there. But yeah, as far as my indicator is concerned, if we reject the 1.337 fib, then we typically see a pullback to the 0.236 fib.
So is your indicator is effectively based on fibs? I mean, it's got to be deeper than that, obviously, but how did you come up with your indicator?
Yeah, so there's a rule set for it. Basically, it'll give like a buy approaching signal or a sell approaching signal, and that usually is given at the bottom or the top. So like when it gives a sell approaching signal, you expect it to be at a bottom and for price to bounce. And then if you give a buy approaching signal, which I can give you a really quick example on the Litecoin weekly chart, you'll see here we got this plus sign, which is actually a buy approaching. Okay. And that happened at the top, right? So I expect a dip. And you can see here, if I take my Fibonacci from the bottom of that impulse where the signal was given to the top of that impulse, we just barely, very narrowly reached the 1.337 fib, which was my bottom, like mega buy, go all in on the house zone for Litecoin. So you can see the inverse effect here on this Bitcoin weekly chart.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. So you're basically super bullish if we cross above what you've defined as this range. So
Correct.
We're pushing right against that right now, basically.
Correct.
A couple thousand more up, and you think we're moon time.
We're like, so a couple of thousand more up, and we're like, all right, buyers can step on this thing and we can send it. It's like you're like 75% bullish there, up to like 52, 53K. And then if we break above there, it's 100% bullish. Bull foot on the pedal again. Again, on the daily chart, you can see that my indicator needs to be really topped out for us to go parabolic, as we did here. This is going to show max momentum. So when it's topped out like this, we're going to get these maximum parabolic runs. We're not there yet. We're still in this resistance zone. And if we do cross into that parabolic zone, whenever we cross these zones, we always get a bullish pullback. So you can see here, when we cross the zone the first time, okay, so we cross this zone and we get a bullish pullback, and then you basically just buy any dips when you cross, and we take off from there. We go parabolic, yada, yada. Well, now we're back below that. We break above it again. We're going to see something like this most likely. We'll get some consolidation or some bullish selling, if you want to call it that, or a bullish pullback. And then that would be a likely opportunity to buy before this goes parabolic again. And if momentum's topped out, then we're going to see that very strong move again, as we saw back when it topped out this time.
My God, if it comes back to 31.5 again, I'll mortgage my children.
So that's the key, though. Per the rules of Top Goon X, if you break down below that 0.236 fib level, that's saying confirmed trend reversal, meaning that we would confirm the downside trend.
Right.
So we'd be like full bearish trend, which market structure wise obviously makes sense as well. But that's where you'd want to be careful. But that is also obviously going to be an amazing R to R risk to reward opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, what's amazing to me is if you eliminate the whole 65 to 30 thing, just thinking about the fact that Bitcoin's at like $46,000, $47,000 now, thinking back a year is so astounding.
Oh man. I mean, I don't know if any of us really expected it to take off so quickly, right? Like we knew we would see these targets, but wow, it's awesome. Bitcoin always surprises us, right? Every time.
It does. So now zooming in, like if you were looking for a trade right now, what would you do?
Oh man. Well, so I actually had a really good short entry earlier. And I posted this on Twitter, but this is tough because we've got some chop here. We've got some declining volume. So the key level here is going to be this candle right here, and more so this candle here for me. Now, on the 15-minute chart and the 1-hour chart, we had this kind of topping pattern here. All right. So my trigger was a retest here, basically to get in. So I entered a short up here. We got a nice drop. So that was like my quick intraday trade if I wanted it. But now we have to look at these levels again, and invalidation of a short would be right up here, right above 46,540 is invalidation of a short idea. We're still at resistance, so I can't take a long here. You see this overall resistance here?
Yeah, I agree. We're at resistance.
So I can't take a long. Obviously, if I look, and I always zoom out too, And when I look at the daily chart, I actually see a little bit of bearish divergence with OBV. So you see that daily candle is making a higher high, OBV is making a lower high, plus a double top. So we have to show caution there. Now we did bounce at this support area, so that's good. So we held support for now. So we're not going to be overly bearish or overly bullish at the moment. We're going to expect a little bit of chop. And anytime you're trying to short a strong Bitcoin trend, if you're in a short and it stalls, it's just best to usually get out because Bitcoin's just so resilient. Even if Bitcoin's in a downtrend, it's still usually resilient, right? Like almost always. So anytime I'm shorting, I'm trailing a stop loss. If it stalls, I'm usually getting out quickly. But you can see here, again, let me remove some of this. OBV is a very good momentum indicator, as well as I use Top Goonex, and we're seeing bearish divergence signals here. So we're consolidating. You don't really like to short a boring market. So times like this, a lot of times we break out from here, right? So I'm not necessarily interested in a short at this time unless we get further confirmation of maybe some like loss of this MA support, which is a few $100s lower.
Right.
But you can see here, this is where I don't trade because the market is getting choppy and just wants to hit everyone's stop losses before making a big move.
Yeah, I mean, when it's sideways, you can basically just search the liquidations and see exactly where price is effectively going, right? Bounce back and forth. Yeah, I'm going to just throw my chart up really quick, actually.
Oh, yeah, please do.
But you keep talking about these divs with OBV. This is RSI. People know I generally just go to the line chart to make it cleaner for people to see, obviously. But I mean, this is the daily. Pretty clear that we have pretty consistent higher high here. And if this goes higher, we'll have like another kind of small bear div, right here.
Yeah.
But you can go down. And that's why I've been saying, I keep expecting we're just going to get a little retrace. This is obviously huge bearish divergence here, right? I mean, much lower. And you can go down. I mean, literally go down the line and it's kind of here everywhere. But they're also being followed by sort of like little, I don't know about this one, but like a hidden bullish divergence here. So maybe they're canceled. But what I'm finding interesting is it's actually allowing not on the daily, but these indicators to sort of reset.
Yeah.
Even without going down, because usually you look for RSI to get that huge drop on a down move. And right now, just the sideways action is actually resetting a lot of indicators, which is making me like a little more cautious about the bearish divergences. Because 2 or 3 days ago, I was like, I can't imagine we're not going to 40 or 42. Retest. Nothing huge, but like just come back down here and test 42. I mean, even on the weekly, right? I mean, to me, 42 was kind of the key level. I'm pretty surprised that this week didn't touch it. Maybe it's just a quick front run.
And that's when I get a little concerned about a rug pull is when Bitcoin isn't touching those levels we're all interested in and we're getting front ran. Sometimes it just likes to pull the really quick, oh, you guys weren't watching, you blinked, gotcha, and then really quick dump and then kind of go sideways and then BART back up.
Right. And of course, you look back at 19,891, 20,000, whatever, there's Coinbase. So Bitstamp's different, and it just never got retested. Right.
Yeah.
And so like, sort of like for me, the 42, I would assume would be retested, but it's not like we don't have precedent for that to completely whiff and just leave people behind. And you were talking about, I mean, you got front run, you know what I mean? A little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just, I mean, this did, I guess this week, let me see, it came down to 42,766. That's probably for Bitcoin. That might be enough to consider a retest, like you said, because it just likes to go. But I've been like all week, I've been kind of like hesitant to get really excited. But it just keeps pushing.
I'm waiting on the weekly close, mainly based on my indicator. Because I always, whenever I don't trust my indicator, I wish I did. So as long as I wait for the invalidations and actual closes, then I'll feel more comfortable about it. And we are going into a weekend. We've seen some nice upside price action during the week. Sometimes we do kind of get a little washout over the weekend. I feel a little bit of euphoria going on now, and maybe we don't really drop that much. Maybe we just chop around. And sometimes chop is just as detrimental to the market participants as a drop.
Yeah. And to your end, like we were talking about the range. When I look at it on the daily, like to me, this was the huge volume candle, so you're right. If you zoom out, you get it on the weekly. But when I zoom into the daily, this was obviously
totally agree. Yeah.
And it bottoms here. And then that reactive bounce, which is probably like 50% always is. Right. And then, so to me, that's where we kind of established a range. We tested the bottom, had that sort of fake out here. So that's why I liked, and I guess everybody has a different definition of structure, but I would have said, we had the high here, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. And so to me, this all became a higher high. So that's when I started to at least feel a little more bullish. But, some people say that this is the next lower high, right? 59. So that to me, waiting for 59 to confirm that we're bullish seems a little bit.
Well, and I agree with you. I wouldn't wait till 59 either. And that's the thing is like, if you're afraid of missing out ever, just buy dip. Like if you historically just zoom out on Bitcoin, if you see some mega dips, like they're almost always a good buying opportunity, like, so if you're ever concerned or if Bitcoin's ever boring, whenever Bitcoin's the most boring, it rarely drops. It always has some upside price action before a drop almost every time. Like even here, you can see, if you go to the daily or just to the left there on your screen, we had that nice
yours up if you want to. Here you go. I'll just put
so yeah, there. I mean, we had this nice steady drop and it's super boring, really boring. And it just slows and slows and slows. And then we get a nice pop before the mega dump. Right. So like here again, nice and boring, pop, quick dump, nice and boring, pop, and we get our dump again, and it's kind of just getting boring down here again. Like it was just boring, right? Like when Bitcoin's boring like this, it doesn't dump. Bitcoin dumps like this. It goes pretty much straight down usually. So when it's not going straight down and you're in shorts, you usually need to get out.
And it has to fake you out to the upside first.
Always. And that's how I trade low time frames as well. If I'm bearish on, let's say, a 15 or a 30-minute chart, because I'm seeing bearish signals, but then a 1-minute chart or a 5-minute chart just does like an insane uptrend out of nowhere, catch everyone off guard. That's usually where I can get my really good short entries because I'm saying, all right, I'm shorting this, hoping it's the exact top, or else I'm getting immediately out if it keeps going because I know I was wrong.
Yeah, makes sense. I want you to tell me about flipping NFTs. So I'm a boomer, right?
You do want to talk about this?
I'm in my 40s. It makes me well, you mentioned it. It makes me feel like I'm 80 in this community. But like, I even tweeted about it earlier. I said, it's way above my head. No idea. I'm not going to learn how to do it, but I'm glad you guys are making so much money and it's super fun to watch. But like, I just want the quick and dirty on they're rocks and penguins. I see the value. I get scarcity. I've collected more dumb things in my life than probably most people, so I get it.
Yeah. I mean, you can see my Nintendo collection at the bottom shelf back there is part of it. And I got plenty more. So I love collecting. NFTs are fun. I bought a penguin for like $3,500 and my wife thought that was a little interesting. But we're very spoiled in crypto space, just with money and things like that. Like, you can't talk about $3,500 in a group of your regular friends as openly as we can on Twitter and between each other and buying, most of our friends are using $3,500 as a down payment on a car or to buy a used car. And here we are buying pictures of penguins and rocks for more than most people's houses, right?
Without a second thought.
I mean, yeah, you don't even think about it. I mean, back in there when Uniswap was huge, we were paying like $500 fees to do a trade on Uniswap and not even blinking, right? So I mean, that's somebody's bills for the month and groceries. So it's just crazy. We're really spoiled. But anyway, so on NFTs, I've enjoyed flipping them. I just sold a pudgy penguin that I bought earlier this week. I bought it for 1 Ethereum and sold it for 3.9 Ethereum. So that's a great profit in 4 days of holding a picture of a really cute penguin. But you got to kind of find the ones that are like more legitimate and have more traction and are really capturing the broader audience. Because there's a lot of knockoffs and things that are maybe going to spike initially and then die back off. Kind of like think about it as like the meme coin craze, we saw Doge really take off and lead the market. That's what CryptoPunks did, right? They really took off and led the market. Then you had Meebits. So that would be like your Shiba as opposed to Doge. So you had Meebits that were taking off and then so that carried. And then you had rocks. Yeah. So then you get all these copycat things that are really trying to go big and you get a lot of people influx and a lot of inflow. And then you have copycats of every variety, every meme coin you can imagine. Now you've got every NFT series you can imagine and they're dirt cheap. So people are just FOMOing into them, right? Because they're dirt cheap. But then when you FOMO into them cheap, you have people buying up the floor because they hope that they're going to be the next CryptoPunk and they're seeing other NFTs going for insane amounts of money. So they're spending more on these when really their value is much less. CryptoPunks have a ton of value. They're like the pioneers, basically the space, if you want to consider it that, I don't see their value ever. Like I see their value almost like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Like even if the market's down, Bitcoin, Ethereum will always rise no matter what.
Right. But how do okay. You're like, you got to get the good quality ones, and the ones are, and it's like, those are the pudgy penguins and the
Check
rocks.
the tag.
It's just like,
check the tag, see if it's made in China or not.
Right. I mean, is this like, you see it on Twitter and you catch a vibe that it's buzzing and it's the one, and enough people have changed their avatar. By the way, I have no fucking idea who anyone on Twitter is anymore. No idea.
I think that's a bad sign.
I realized I don't know people's names. I just knew their pictures.
I have to feel like that's a bad sign now that everyone's picture has changed to an NFT. It feels like a little bit like laser eyes at the top on Bitcoin. So for anyone watching, I definitely have my foot off the gas on NFTs a little bit. I'll still buy the dirt cheap ones and try to flip them for even a 3 or 4 or 5x, which is still possible on the really cheap ones. But like pudgy penguins now, I still think their value can go up. But the floor has gone from like 0.05 Ethereum or 0.5 Ethereum to 4 Ethereum in less than a week. So I think it's going to stabilize a little bit more now. That's just my personal opinion. But there's of course other projects that are like 0.01 Ethereum that are still climbing and booming. And if you get in early enough on some of these, you're always going to be above, like the floor is always going to be above your entry, right? Just like on Doge or Link or any of these other coins. If you get in early enough, you can just hold forever and be an early pioneer and not really care. But on some of them, you don't want to get caught buying the top. You want to maybe wait for a pullback or maybe make some offers, throw some offers out there. But I don't know if any of you guys have kept up with NBA Top Shot. I mean, people are making insane amounts of money over there for months. And now some of those things are like, you can't even sell them. They're almost worthless, Well,
like I've said, it's high stakes hot potato. Right.
It really is.
It's like, how can I get rid of this thing fast enough the minute that I have profit? Because I'm sorry, like the quick video of the seventh man dunking should not have value just because they didn't make that.
Oh man,
this is hilarious. By the way, Mr. Anderson's here.
Hey.
He says Scott is making the face at all us. He and I, of course, 40-year-olds make when we hear an explanation of this NFT craze. Gooner with a straight face saying, you have to find the respectable JPEGs.
Oh, I love Mr. Anderson. That's hilarious.
And he's right. But
he's just not he's having a hard time grasping this all. We talk almost daily and he's like, hey man, tell me the next NFT buy. And I'm like, all right. And I'll tell him. And then 2 days later, I'm like, oh, I just sold that for 5x. He's like, why didn't you tell me? And I'm like, I did.
I did.
He's like, well, I don't know what I'm doing.
It's so fast. Yeah, I don't. I mean, listen, I know my core competency. I'm not saying it's not great for making money. I'm just not gonna. I'm not gonna get there. And I do buy a lot of NFTs. I'm just not flipping NFTs. Yeah,
and the most important thing too is if you're gonna buy one, make sure it's one you like. Because if you like it and the value goes to 0, at least you have something that you enjoy. The other thing is too, if you are looking to buy these and try to find the rare ones, you can actually go to Rarity Tools. It's on Twitter at Rarity Tools, and you can find rarities. The free plug, sorry. And then you want to look at their properties and make sure you get like the more rare percentages. So if you have 2 at the same price, find one that has a more rare property, which likely its value is higher. So
that makes total sense. So now do we beat the animated rock to death, or beat ourselves to death with an animated rock? I don't know.
We haven't had enough dad jokes on this stream yet, so we're gonna have to.
No, see, you and I, we have like a real. You are arguably the greatest Twitter replier in history.
Appreciate it.
I think that like I get there being inspired by you when I respond to you, but I never get there myself.
We have some good exchanges. I appreciate it. It's fun. It's definitely fun.
So are you looking at the altcoin market at all right now?
A little bit, yeah. I'm doing some stock trading, some altcoins. Let's see, like Algo is still kind of lagging behind the rest of the market.
I can pull up your
chart. So Algo is still lagging behind the rest of the market a little bit. So I expect it to pop at some point, at least even to like maybe 110 resistance. It's just peaking out. It's holding pretty well. Obviously depends on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin pulls back a little bit, the rest of the market does, but it's resilient enough right now. BTC is that I guess we shouldn't be too worried. So Algo is one that I've been keeping an eye on because it's lagging. Another one I really like is ICP. and I haven't really talked about this one much yet, but I just really like the volume here.
Yeah,
You
it's
notice
been
these
significant.
really high volume areas here coming from the bottom rather than an altcoin that's came up from the top and is now kind of doing some of this. I prefer to get one that's coming from the bottom and starting its uptrend. So that's my preference. But this volume is really nice. I don't know if you guys, I can just show you a quick comparison real quick. RSR back in October or whatever, I was pointing this one out a lot last year because look at this volume, right? So this is another one that was coming down, starting to show some nice uptrending action and some really heavy volume coming in. And you can see how that carried over the course of the next 6 months. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for ICP right now.
Yeah.
I actually haven't taken
that.
entry, but I'm going to consider some dollar cost averaging soon because I really don't see this one going into any sort of long-term downtrend. I think it's actually coming out of the long-term downtrend and should start uptrending at some point soon.
Yeah, you made me think of a chart, but this, I don't know when the time was. I guess I can look, but like I guess it was last year. This was Eagle, Elrond,
Yeah.
But like,
oh, nice. That looks
right,
great.
Right. And so like, this is where I'm still in it actually, but from like $10, basically, I think it was right here.
Wow.
Like the trend's
Great
broken,
entry.
but and yeah, I mean, now there's some potential entries here, but this is like my favorite pattern probably.
That's
And this was the
beautiful.
pattern of all these like coins that were launching last year, right? They would you'd get that sort of bot dump on the entry when they triggered, then they'd sort of round out, and when they leave that, man, they go. So I think that's a great example. I'm going to look at ICP too. I know I have a chart of that.
Well, ICP's dump level is actually 350. So you have like a long ways to go to even get up there.
Yeah. I clearly I looked at ICP here for somebody. I don't remember doing it, but there's a whole lot of fucking lines here, and yeah, it just slammed into that resistance. Yeah, for me, this would look like Elrond basically if it got above $70.
So many lines.
Yeah, I don't know why I have so many lines, but I'm going to eliminate some
lines
of them.
for days. Wow.
Dude, if you don't have lines, or you even, but yeah, it's the same thing, right?
You even trade, bro, if you don't have lines?
Bro, you should. My charts, like when I started sharing them on Twitter originally, I mean, I looked like I was at like a Pink Floyd laser light show or something. It was, I mean, there were so many lines that I would like use dash ones for some things and dotted ones for some things. And it was a mess. I learned
I definitely like to
very quickly that if you want to share things, it's actually a really good thing because it works for you. But I learned very quickly that if I want to share an idea on Twitter, you have to take everything else off the chart.
Well, right? people don't even read it. They'll just scroll past and be like, no, too much work.
Right. And then I think as part of that, like learning how to share them with people, it was part of me trending towards simpler strategies.
Yeah. It actually makes your trading better because you're not trying to overcomplicate things. So I've started adding
use like 50 indicator. My charts used to be like RSI, OBV, MACD, and it was over-analysis paralysis.
Well, and that's when you get in the comments, you'll see somebody reply and they'll be like, hey, how's this chart look? And it's literally like a Gann spiral. And then there's like 17 indicators and 400 EMAs. And you're like, what am I looking at? Where's the candles? What price is it at?
Yeah, I mean, whatever works for people. But was that ever you did you like have a million?
Oh, I used to have a million because what happens is we all start basically by looking on Twitter and we see people, we like, oh man, this guy uses this indicator. I'm going to put that on there. Oh, this guy uses that. I like that. Okay. And you just put them all on there and you don't know how to use any of them. And you're just like, oh, well, 3 of these indicators are bullish. So let's go with that. 3 out of the 7 are bullish. That fits my bias. That's good enough for me.
Yeah. That's the problem is like, they're going to always conflict.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people use their indicators to guide their trading when they really should use the price to guide their trading and use indicators for confirmation.
So true. So is that how you approach your indicator? Or when you obviously the nature of your indicator, as you explained it, is it's kind of it gives you an opportunity to look at something, but it's not like a signal, right? It's not saying buy at this moment or sell at this moment necessarily. So it's actually like it's kind of your first trigger to pay attention. Yeah.
So like here on ICP, you can see it. We've got this nice moving out of this bottom zone, right? We've got a buy approaching signal that triggers. So pretty much just going to draw my fibs on this recent impulse, and it's tight here, but this was the recent impulse when it was given. So then I would look to buy around the 0.786 fib is my first level. and you could see that held on a fake out. So that would be the buy zone. If that doesn't hold, then we would go to the 1337 fib as I talked about earlier. So you can see here we've got that nice buy approaching signal. We get a dip, buy the dip, and you can see how that played on ICP. So that's kind of how I look at it. Like XSPA is one I've been watching because of my indicator. If you'll see here, we've got
that sounds like a massage parlor.
Yeah, so it's you should get massages,
Triple
monthly.
X
They're really good.
Spa. I think that place is in the Village in New York.
Yeah, they have spas in airports, and they're doing like a bunch of the COVID testing stuff. So anyway, you can see here like this. My indicator is just showing insane upwards momentum, and price is just going sideways. So if this breaks, I'm expecting like mega moon, and you can also see that it gave a buy approaching signal, and it did here as well. But it didn't hold the confirmation, and our momentum broke back down, whereas this one held the confirmation, and also our momentum is showing very strong. And then we're in the upwards quadrant as well, which is even more bullish. So
sort of the idea of volume preceding price. You're getting this pressure, and the price hasn't reacted yet, and so obviously there's gonna, the price will eventually react to that action.
Yep. And Top Goon X is going to talk about trends. So when it's going up, it's showing price is in an uptrend. And when it gets up to the top and it's starting to go down, it shows it back in a downtrend. So, I mean, it was showing buy signals on Bitcoin back at 3K, back like last February or whenever it was down there.
Yeah, March.
So, yeah.
Well, yeah, March 12th. I think March 12th, 2020 will be forever deeply ingrained in my memory. One of the luckiest trades of my life, though.
Oh my God, I was busy. I remember where I was at too, and I couldn't buy. I was so mad.
I was asleep. So it was like price had gone from 9 to 6 or whatever, right? And that's when I guess BitMEX liquidations kicked in and took it down to 38 or whatever it was. But it was at 6 something, and it was like 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night. I was like, I'm bidding $4,000. It's not going to hit, but like I'm bidding $4,000. And I woke up and price was $6,000. And I went about my day. I was like, yeah, this was the bottom. It chopped sideways. Like an hour later, I got to my computer. I was like, I filled.
Wow, that's epic.
50% and didn't even realize.
So your epic story comes to my womp womp story of having bids on Litecoin from like 2250 down to like 1850 and getting completely missed by like $1.
Oh, it's so miserable.
So
I'll never forget it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I know exactly where I was at. I remember checking my phone and getting a bunch of alerts, and I couldn't do anything. But yeah, but you can see here we got a buy approaching signal on Bitcoin in February of 19, right before this big up move. And that's like the only buy signal it's given in a while, other than we had some bullish divergence on that drop. But
yeah. So I'm curious. So listen, if you're bidding Litecoin at $22, that's not a scalp, right?
No, that was for a long-term hodl.
Long-term. So you clearly have a mixed portfolio.
So especially back then, because, that's before I was full-time trading. I had another job. I had a day job. And so those levels were just unbeatable, right? Like we all knew that anything under 10K was going to be a good buy, and we were likely to go to 50K at some point. So definitely had a long-term hodl bag. I still do, but it's just not as big anymore because I've been taking profits along the way. But if we go up, I'll still be happy. I can still trade it. So if we do go lower, I will load back up again. But if we start to go higher and we meet our levels, I'll start loading back up a little bit, and I'll probably look for some altcoins that like ICP that are just starting their trends. So
Hardik wants to know what indicator that is. It's called Top Goon X, right? That's what.
Top Goon X, TOPGOON-X. Yeah, a buddy Satoshi Heavy and I, Satoshi Heavy on Twitter, and myself created it a couple of years ago.
Wait, where's the cut? Chad wants to know what the heck is profit.
It's just a mythical thing that influencers talk about on Twitter. It's not real. It doesn't exist.
It's a unicorn that you guys have never heard.
We all work at McDonald's, really, and that's how we make money.
Buddha Fred would like you to know that he almost shit himself when you said Matic was going to go to 10 cents.
I don't think I said 10 cents. I'm pretty sure I said
that
like
seems
40
aggressive.
I said sub 80 cents, but I'm pretty sure I said like 45 cents was where I really, really wanted to go heavy. And I think we got to like what, 55 or 60. So
yeah, it went pretty far down. And James wants to know if you're an algo now or just watching.
No, it's a Friday. I don't take positions on Fridays. I usually let the weekend BS happen. Again, I'm a trader more so, you guys. So I like to take the weekends off. My wife likes it when I'm available on weekends and evenings. So,
Oh.
oh yeah.
Oh. We'll leave that there. Someone
Happy
just asked.
wife, happy life.
I don't usually take chart requests, but I saw UTK and then I happened to pull it up while we were talking. Holy crap!
That is
I
my
had no
only
idea.
long-term hold, altcoin wise.
Well, good.
Other
'Cause I
than I
posted
have
this
some
trade
Litecoin.
just the other day, and now I feel good.
Yeah, I have a good chart too on that. I just posted on Twitter actually.
Sure.
But yeah, I pretty much nailed the
I had
bottom
no
on
idea
that.
it popped that hard, though. I literally did not know
100%
until
today.
someone just requested it.
So I don't know if they have I guess I don't have the chart here, but basically I'd drawn this a few months ago, where I was watching this for a breakout or breakdown. We broke down, and then I was like, well, I guess we can just accumulate here before we break back up, and then break above here is confirmation. And of course we got it. So yeah, UTK is the only altcoin that I actually hold, like the only true altcoin that I hold long term. I got in at like 11 cents last year, like 12 or 13 cents average or something like that. So that's the only one I actually hold. Obviously, like Litecoin, I have some of, but I consider Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin all majors. So I don't really consider those true altcoins.
Yeah, I have a bag of UTK too. I've worked with Utrust for a long time. Actually, we never got there, but we were working on actual payments for my recurring payments in crypto
Oh,
for my
sweet.
newsletter, which is a real huge challenge because recurring payment obviously means that someone's automatically allowed to take money from you, which is
True.
not really a thing with crypto
Well,
wallets.
are you allowed to use them in the US anyway yet?
Theoretically, they're blocked here, but I think your average user can
Oh.
use them, but maybe not a vendor or something like that.
Yeah. True.
I mean, I don't know what Americans can or can't do. I do not, I don't know.
I actually am in New Zealand right now.
I made the joke during COVID that the closest thing you could get to a vacation was choosing your VPN location on any given day. Oh, I'm fucking in Hawaii, man.
Basically, where am I going today?
Get a cool Zoom background.
Yeah, just play some like bird chirping or some rainforest music in the background.
Yeah, someone wants to know, what MAs do Gooner use? Do you use them? Well, you got some on there, I guess.
Yeah, those are the Gooner EMA. It's the only script that I've ever made for myself because I don't know how to script. So it's just literally the 11 and the 22 EMA. It's a public script, so you can find it on TradingView and use it yourself if you want. But I use it for scalping. It's pretty reactive, so you're going to see a lot of, the MAs are obviously going to be more reactive because they're lower numbers. So that's why I like to use them.
Why 11 and 22? I'm always interested in why people choose certain MAs because I've always I learned on stocks and it was like 50, 100, 200. Why? Because everybody's looking at them. So like you could at least count on other traders potentially logging or shorting those areas. So I'm always curious why other people, come up with their MAs. So that's back testing. You just found that it was effective.
They're just reactive, and they seem to, on low time frames, they seem to hit enough times for me to be able to make trades based off of them. So,
what's the lowest time frame you'll dip down to when you're trading?
I actually really prefer the 1 minute chart. Honestly, it sounds awful and degenerative, but obviously I have strategies based on it, and it's nice to be able to get in and out really quick in like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, make $500, $1,000 and be happy with it. So,
yeah, man, the scalping thing, it's like reminiscent to me. I used to play a lot of poker and it's like grinding it out, It's just like,
you literally have to wait till you have the best hand. And that's actually a really good comparison. You have to just wait till when you have a good hand. Like, you got to call the market's bluff basically on low time frames. And once you learn market emotions and market psychology, you'll start to watch these low time frame charts and you'll see the psychology play on a chart. I mean, I bet even just here, if we go look at a 1 minute chart real quick, we're going to see that a lot of these like high volume areas are going to be at the bottom. So you're going to see here, like, look at this high volume right here happens at the bottom. So that's panic selling, right? This is a 1 minute chart. So that's panic selling. So I could consider a long here, maybe, especially. So this is a panic sell. Then we bounce up and maybe people FOMO buy. Well, then they panic sell again right down here. And this gets bought up quickly. This is a stop hunt too for anyone that longed and put their stop loss below here. So psychology wise, that's a great potential long entry. And then you look up here and you see some very high volume up here at the top. FOMO buyer volume, and it gets sold right off. Well, look here again, high volume at the bottom, right? So you can see the market emotions. You got panic selling at the bottom, FOMO buying at the top. Now, it's not 100% hit rate. Don't just go buy the highest volume candle you can find anywhere. But you're seeing overall on these 1 minute charts, the biggest volume is coming in at the tops and the bottom, at the bottoms and the tops here. So again, all this volume. Again.
I guess the question then becomes for a lot of people, I think the discipline that comes with it, obviously the entry is somewhat the easy part, right? It's knowing when you're wrong, because like, in my opinion, the shorter the trade, the more opportunity to screw up, right?
Yeah.
So
well, a lot of people hold too long. That's the thing. If you're trading on 1 minute chart,
like if it goes up, if it goes up $100, am I out? Or is this, do you get that FOMO that you get with longer trades that people say, oh, well, it got to my target, but it's going to keep mooning, right? And then obviously you get stopped out the other way. But
yeah, I mean, so like here's a perfect setup that I would take. So here's a 1 minute high volume candle, right? And this looks like a breakout, but you have this nice breakout here, whatever, so a little bit of volume, but then you've got this really high volume candle and it just stalls immediately. So you should see strong momentum come up out of this. But when you don't see that momentum, you actually see seller momentum instantly. Another push here, rejection. This is like my confirmation. So this is my trigger. I talked about this on Twitter earlier today. I always have a trigger and a confirmation. So this is my short trigger. This is my confirmation.
This is the retest.
Right here.
Yeah.
So I get that confirmation. I'm entering and I'm getting out here. And that's probably a 0.5%, 0.6% move. Okay. 0.5% move. I'll do 100x here with like $1,000, $2,000. So it'll be like a 100 or a $200,000 position. But again, if it goes up any here, I got to get out. So I need this to be the top right here. If it starts going up, I got to get out. I'm losing, 3 or 4% and then fees. But again, I know that I'm either immediately right or immediately wrong. And then as soon as I get that drop, momentum stalls, I'm going to get out because again, I'm trading a 1 minute chart. I'm not going to expect more than probably a 0.5% move on a 1 minute chart. And a lot of people, that's where they struggle too on these low time frames, is they're trading a 1 or a 5 minute chart and they expect to hold the trade for 4 hours. You can't hold a 4-hour trade or a trade for 2 days if your entry is based on 1 minute or a 5 minute.
Yeah, I think for most people who are emotional, like there's just too many places to make mistakes unless you're really stone cold about this. And listen, it works for some people. It's so impressive to me when people can do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all watching emotions and catching momentum. Again, look at this. This is nice momentum, but that's it. And then it stalls, and then I would get out immediately. So
the second it bounces, you kind of get out. And since you're watching it so closely, I assume you're not like throwing in a stop loss and take profit necessarily. You're manually kind of doing everything. There's like you just quickly throw in some like placeholder.
I would mark it in immediately when I see this start to get bought or sold off. And then once I start to get this drop, I'm either got my hand on the close button or I'm putting in a stop loss at like break even or close to it, just in case that this just wants to go and just get a mega whale buy, right? So then I'm mitigating my risk through this.
Because then you get slippage even if you try to mark it out. So yeah.
And that's why I use smaller positions when I scalp on 1 minute chart. I'm only going to use 1 to 200K size because anything bigger and you're just, there's too much slippage, right? So smaller sizes, but I can make, that if I did my $2,000 position at 100x there, so 200K size, that's $1,000 in 8 minutes. So can't complain about that. But yeah, so then like as the trade goes down, I have invalidation points. So this is my first invalidation point. Then we get the wake up rejection. No, this is my next invalidation point. So if price goes above here, I need to get out. And then now we start breaking down, and then I would just start trailing my invalidation or my imaginary stop loss or whatever. Again, another wick drop to the downside. So now here's my new invalidation level. So at this point, I'm locking in profit along the way, regardless of what happens. So
yeah, it makes taxes super fun.
Oh God. Yeah.
But what I didn't realize when I first traded, because I was always more on spot and whatever. And then I first did like a heavy calculation on one of the softwares. And I'd be like, how do I have like last year I had 11,000 trades. And I don't feel like I traded that actively, but with any size on the spot exchange, every fill is a transaction. So like your one order can be 100 trades.
Oh, that's true.
because you're
I didn't think
filling
about
like if you're
that.
buying and you fill into 100 different people's
Yep.
asks, you have
Yep.
100
Especially
taxable
on Coinbase
transactions.
Pro, it'll literally show every single different transaction. Yep.
Yeah, so like if the software picks all those up, I mean it's
Oh,
really
it's
an
a mess.
absolute
I've just
nightmare.
started paying a tax person monthly fee now
Yeah, me
because
too.
then I can keep up with it all year. It's too much to keep up with it all at once.
It's going to be
During tax
interesting to see
time.
what happens with the NFTs.
Oh, thanks for reminding me about that. You're right, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that should be
guess
a
I'll
good
have
time.
to.
I would
What's
say
up?
like on a scale of 1 to 10, that'll be like a 10 for good times.
Oh
Probably like
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
11.
But whatever, it's got to be the same as trading. I'm just gonna assume it's that. So, but look, I
Yeah.
think Bitcoin wants to just give us a little moon mission here. Nope, dump mission. Whoa, somebody fat fingered. And see, that's why
What
I.
exchange are you looking at? Holy good. Yeah, was
That's
that
awesome.
Binance? Oh
So
my
imagine
God.
if somebody longed there, they're instantly liquidated if they long the top here.
Like I've got like a daily chart on Bitstamp open right now, and I didn't even see that.
Like if somebody does 100x long here from this area, they were instantly liquidated if their exchange followed that. That's crazy. That's
Yeah,
why
somebody,
100x leverage is no joke, and you would never want to do a full size position with high leverage, regardless.
someone asked, "What's the most common MAs in crypto? Do you prefer MA or EMA?" I mean, I can give the quick answer. I don't think that you can say the most common because everyone has their thing. I can just say that in crypto, people move very quickly, and you can see the trend, and you just kind of like want to be looking at what everyone else is. It always was EMAs in the past, right? And I think that common sense is that EMAs are superior because they weight more recent price action over previous price action. But if nobody's looking at them, who cares?
Yeah.
Right. Because an MA is a lagging indicator. So what's the point? So I would say like traditionally the most common are 50, 100 and 200 standard moving averages, like in across stock traders and people who've been trading forever. Then the 21 became very popular. And then I saw sort of the 8 become popular.
The front run, the 20.
Yeah.
You know, front run the even numbers. So back when I started, whatever Binance had on their SMA, it was the 7, the 25, and the 99.
Right.
That's
so
what I used.
Automatically looking at it, right?
Because everyone's looking at it. Exactly. I mean, exactly. If everyone sees it there, people are going to use it. So go check out what Binance's default one is right now, is what I could say, because they're the biggest. They have the most volume. So go to the highest volume exchange, see what most people are seeing.
Okay, so for the audience, this is from Mr. Anderson. This is not some random person. I once saw Gooner hit on 40 straight winners. So play that little lesson back and replay it about 20 times until you comprehend it fully. I don't think I've ever hit a 40 win streak.
That was nuts. That was back when, like I said, when you could take 10 trades in an hour and price was just so volatile that you just buy or sell. You buy at any support or sell at any, or short at any resistance, and you were seeing some kind of rebound because we had so much volume.
The last time I remember specifically, so it's been a long time for me, that I remember trading like that level of degeneracy was that one weekend, maybe 2018 or 2017, when Bitcoin Cash went absolutely bananas.
Oh, I remember that.
Like it was like it was like $300 swings every 10 minutes. It was like
that
15,
was 2017.
18.
I was cooking macaroni and cheese when it was going like to $2,000, man. In like a night, it went from like what, like $200 to like 1,000 or 1,500 or something in no time.
But like
I literally remember what I mean.
I was literally like, I'm selling every pump, and every time it drops, I'm just buying it. And 10 minutes later, I'm exiting. And it wasn't even the most defined strategy. It was the most. I can never remember more obvious like volatility price action ever.
I totally agree.
Literally just buy it anytime it dropped and wait a little while till it was up and sell it.
Yeah.
As long as you were willing to just sell it quickly.
Yeah.
That's the last time I remember doing that. That was a crazy, crazy, crazy weekend.
Yeah. That was nuts. That was wild. Thanks for bringing it up. That was cool.
Yeah.
I remember selling my XRP. I didn't even know how to day trade, but I had like some XRP on an account, and I'm like, oh, they listed Bitcoin Cash. I'm just gonna swap my XRP over there and see what happens. And then it rocketed. I'm like, oh, I made more money. Now I can buy back my XRP and have more. And I was like, oh, day trading.
I'm not sure if you know this, but XRP is this.
People get in trouble.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but XRP is the standard, and you're actually not allowed to ever sell it.
Dang it! I sold it $250.
Okay,
my apologies. Okay, no, you can do that.
but what about the future? But what about the future?
But then I got on Twitter and I was like, "Oh, I sold my XRP. I don't know what's going to happen." So I got on Twitter and people were like, "Oh, it's still at $2, man. You got to get back in. It's going to go to $5. You're an idiot. It's going to go to $10. And I'm like, how is this possible? So I bought back at like 150 and then sold at like 125.
Yeah, it's going to $10 with Doge, right? That's going to be $10.
Oh man, Doge definitely is going to the moon. It already did. Doge went to its moon.
Yeah, 70 cents. I started to see like a very common "it's going to $10" trend on Doge, and I was like, I love Doge as much as the next guy, but Elon Musk is about to go on Saturday Night Live. That was the top for Doge and the top for Elon Musk.
That was such an easy call. Well, we're about to get some volatility here for you scalper folks because we got volume here, we got volume here, we got volume here. So we're getting on the fringe of volatility. Very unlikely that we just kick sideways for another hour after getting this kind of price action.
Right, but when you're looking at the minute chart, volatility means how big of a price swing. We're talking about 0.5 to 1%, right?
Well, I think we're getting close to volatility. We're starting to see the early signs on low time frame. So I mean, this is some nice volume starting to come in, but see how dead it was for a while. I mean, this is where I just don't even look at the chart. This is just dead. But now we're starting to see some things happening, and this is where, as a scalper, I'm like, oh, okay, let me key in on this, and then so I would start looking at my higher time frame closes and say, all right, where's this 15-minute going to close at? Because if we look at the 15-minute, we got a high volume green candle here that's getting engulfed now. So
yeah,
that's kind of when I start to take key, is when I start to see like low time frame signs of volatility picking up. That's when you can really start to catch it on the scalping.
Awesome, man. Listen, I know that you have a child to take care of and a game to watch.
Oh yeah, we got the game in 4 minutes. I haven't even checked the lineup. Woohoo!
So I'm gonna let you go, but please tell everybody what you have going on, where they can follow you after this, check out everything, because I know that this is not the only place.
Yeah,
that you
I appreciate it. And so on my YouTube, I've got a fundamental intro to trading for beginners.
Really good videos.
I've got a educational series for leverage trading. I also have a hashtag breakfast trades series every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Central Time. I post a quick trading video on that. I also have more educational series on there, and I've got 2 or 3 more coming very soon that I'm really, really, really excited about. I'm not going to give too many clues yet. I'm excited about those. So please follow me on YouTube, Nebraskan Gooner. Subscribe to me. Obviously on Twitter, you can find me as well. So making dad jokes with Scott.
Dude, your dad joke game is
I had a lot of time to
reckon with. Okay, well, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I know Friday afternoon's not the easiest time in the world. Everyone, I will be back on. Well, actually, no, I'm going to be traveling on Monday, so I'll see you guys soon. I'll see you soon. Not going to make any promises, but once again, guys, you should absolutely follow Nebraskan Gooner and not South Dakota, North Dakota, or Kansas Gooner, because those are probably Twitter accounts with his face that are asking you for money in your DMs. Like guarantee.
Cheap knockoff Gooners.
Yeah, they're good. What is Nebraskan Gooner before we go?
Gooner's an Arsenal fan. That's what it is. Yeah. Do not, whatever you do not Urban Dictionary Gooner. All right. Just telling you guys right now, do not go to Urban Dictionary. Do not look up that word.
Yeah, guys, when you're climbing a really high ladder, don't ever look down, because you're not going to look down, right? Literally, like I could go right now. It's going to be like 450 searches of Gooner on Urban Dictionary.
You're all going to do it. But anyway, so it's an Arsenal fan. That's where it's based out of.
That's what I thought. All right. Game time in 2 minutes. Everybody, thank you so much for showing up. We will see you all very soon. Peace.
That's dope.